Hello, my name is Kobe McCool. Welcome to this video. Vocal comping and editing is really important, but it's very often overlooked. It's appealing to talk about compression and EQ and what's the vocal chain that you use, and that is definitely important, and I will make a video right after this about that. This is the second video in my vocal series, the first one being vocal recording, and if you haven't watched that yet, make sure you do because you've got to nail that part first. I'm going to show you how I comp and edit my vocals, and the song I'm going to demonstrate that with is one I have just released recently called Blue Moon, and it's linked down below if you'd like to go check it out. This is the Blue Moon project. It's definitely one of the craziest projects I've ever created.
Feel the cold as it crawl down my spine. I unfold with your light in my eyes. All that I know is I owe my honor to you, Blue Moon.
So I've got all my lead vocals along here, grouped and comped. I've got a test space underneath where I drag all of the vocal takes that I liked from the vocal recording in the Edison into here, and then when I'm happiest with them, I will then drag them up all together into this final line here, and that is all linked to my lead vocal chain here, so that as soon as I drag any vocal from the Edison straight into this group here, it automatically gets sent to the vocal chain, to all the different effects, and then finally to the vocal bus without me having to do that every time, and it just speeds the process up massively. All of this is created off of my FL Studio template, and that's free. It's linked in the description. You can go and check it out. I then got a very similar thing here, but it's for all of the vocal layers, atmospheres, pads, and that is all very similarly linked along here and all sent to different effects and then all bussed together into the final vocals and vocal effects bus. My vocal chain I will explain in the next video, but it's important having that set up before you do the vocal comping because you can really get an idea of whether the vocal take that you've done is going to work or not running it through your vocal chain first. Whereas if you just listen to the raw recording, you might think it's going to work and it doesn't. You already understand the recording process if you watch the recording video, but to recap, I just loop a part of the song that I want to do a few takes of. I record all the different takes into the Edison here. So when I'm happy with the take, I'll then just stop. I will listen through.
I owe my honor to you, Blue Moon.
This is a key point. If you hear notes that are very out of tune, it's probably worth re-recording. If they are just subtly out, that's something that can be tweaked with something like newtone or auto-tune. I still think it's best to try and nail it in the actual performance, but the thing you really want to listen for is the expression, the consonants, the shape of the vowel that you have, because you can't really change that in a tuner. But if there's a note in a phrase that you actually performed really well and it's just slightly sharp or flat, that might be fine. Try dragging it in and just tweak it ever so slightly, and it'll save you having to record it over and over again. I just drag in the vocals that I like the sound of, and it's immediately being sent to channel 16. There will be some sibilants, breaths, sounds like that are going to sound harsh, and we're going to take care of those in a second. But before I dive in and do all of that, I want to make sure that the expression and generally that the tuning is right. That's the first thing that I do, and the more I do of this, the better sense you get for whether a vocal take is going to work or not. There are no absolute rules. You have to go with your gut instinct. I think this one might work relatively well. The first thing that I would do is drag it into newtone. I often forget to make newtone full screen and use the full space. So use all the screen space that you've got. When I'm doing this, I'm trying to keep it transparent. I won't give a full newtone tutorial right now, although I can do that in the future if it's something you'd like to see.
All that I know is I owe my honor to you, Blue Moon.
So overall, it's not too bad. There's one or two notes here that I would just click in and adjust.
All that I know.
So that vibrato is nice. It's just a little bit harsh.
All that I know is I owe my honor to you, Blue Moon.
And last note is just ever so slightly flat.
To you, Blue Moon.
One thing you have to be careful of when you're using a tuner like this is sometimes the breaths can have this warbling helicopter effect where it goes like, and it sounds bad. So when you then drag those vocals in, but if it's a lead vocal, I often make sure I keep the original vocal because I might end up having to replace the original breaths so that it still sounds clean and natural. So here's the original, and then I'll just drag in this one. It'll get sent straight to my vocal chain. So overall, I think that take works really well, But now we have to go in and take care of the sibilants, the breaths. You've got to be strategic about when you decide to keep and leave breaths. So if I were to keep it, I would still cut it and make it unique. So I click right click here, click make unique, and then I would just go in and turn it down. You can see it's these kind of thin, sharp image. The same with this bit here and this bit here. They are often much harsher in the high frequencies. Now you can either change your vocal chain or you can just turn them down. You can also use a de-esser, but if you just rely on compressors and de-essers to fix everything, you can often end up not getting the best vocal chain because you're compromising the vocal chain to account for these harsh sibilant noises that you could actually just fix just by turning them down slightly. It might take a little bit more time to manually turn them down, but it is definitely so worth it. I will then use a fade, whether it's generic or smooth. These are the two that I usually use most, and just adjust it until I'm happy. So that's definitely sounding a lot better already, and I haven't changed any compressors or done anything like that. It's literally just turning them up and down. You could do this with automation, but I find it better to just make each of them unique and take them to the volume that you like. Sometimes breaths can be a little bit harsh at the end of a phrase, but if you just cut the breath out, it also feels weird. So what I often find myself doing is making this part unique, but I don't just want to turn it down. I want to keep the initial expression. So what I'll actually do is just click automate volume, and I will just pull the volume down at the end, and that creates this smooth fade out. This takes a bit of practice to learn what are the right things to do to tweak a vocal to get it to work, but you're basically asking yourself the question, can I turn it down, can I smoothen it, can I automate the volume, or can I just remove it? If you've tuned it, you've adjusted all those things and still it's not working, then it might be worth re-recording it or swapping it out for a different take. I prefer this take from that one, so I just mute that one, highlight these and drag them up so that they are on the final lead vocal line there. I like the expression, the tuning, the sound of this vocal, but something about the timing of it isn't quite working. What I will then do is I will listen to the vocal on its own along to the metronome. This is a really valuable tip. I actually learned this watching a stream from Ian Kirkpatrick, I think his name is. He has produced lots of Dua Lipa's biggest hits, and he was doing this with her vocal. Obviously her vocal performance is wonderful already, but he was just adjusting it so that it really went well with the metronome. And in high energy songs like this one, it makes a really big difference because rhythmically it is just bang on. So here, for example, just sounds a little bit late, so I would just drag it, but then this my part is now out of time as well. So this is where the crossfading comes in really handy. I would make this one unique and make this one unique, turn them both to smooth like that, and then just adjust them so that they really feel like they're in time. Obviously you have to be cautious with the adjustment. You get that weird blip sound that you don't want. So you've got to try and find a place where there's a vowel. So now it's really transparent, but it's also really well in time. Hopefully you'll get something you're happy with, and if you don't, you can just re-record it. Do it, it's worth doing it. Then give it a break, come back and listen again until you can listen through the whole song and nothing catches you out. If there's anywhere where I can get away with just completely cutting it and removing any of the recording, I do. You don't want that silence, which isn't actually silent because it will pick up whatever little noise room there is from the recording, and it will be boosted a lot by the compressor.
They crawl down my spine.
Here, I would just remove all of that. I don't think I need that breath.
They crawl down my spine. I unfold with the light in my eyes.
Obviously, it's good to keep checking it next to the instrumental because you could start getting too detailed about stuff when actually no one's going to notice. If it's really built up in the chorus, you can get away with more, but especially when the vocal turns more intimate, you definitely want to be taking care of any unwanted noises.
With the light in my eyes. All that I know, say all my honor to you, blue moon.
That's the lead vocal. And then I would just do exactly the same process for all the vocal layers, but with the vocal layers I am even more harsh. Any harsher noises that come into the vocal layers, they just don't need to be there because the main vocal has it already. It's got you covered. When you listen to the vocal layers on their own,
feel the cold as it crawl down my I unfold with your light in my eye. All that I know, I owe my honor to you.
it sounds weird. You almost don't hear any S's or anything like that, but the most important thing is how good it sounds when everything is played together.
Moon, feel the cold as it crawl down my spine. I unfold with your light in my eyes.
What I'm going to do is once I post the next video, which will be about how I mix the vocals and my vocal chain, I'll create a little cheat sheet that you can all download for free just to remind you of each step of the process so that it's clear and you don't forget anything. This is just how I do it. You can do it however you want to. Check out Blue Moon down below and I'll see you in the next video. But until then, believe in yourself and you will be unstoppable. Bye.
Hardest to find.